Happy Friday, everyone, and welcome back to WCNC Plus Live Weather Impact Show. Things are looking a little bit different today. We have our normal 8 minutes to talk about local weather, and then we'll go to break, but we'll be back to normal by Monday. So temperatures out there right now, I mean, if you were outside at all here in the Charlotte area today, you definitely know how chilly it was outside. I promise I did not come into work wearing these short sleeves. I did have a jacket on, and I'm definitely going to be putting it on when I head out for the dinner break. But this morning, temperatures were at 31 degrees. We only warmed to 48, even with abundant sunshine. Current temperature is sitting at 40, but it feels like 37. And I think that's an important thing to note as we head into this evening, is that with the feels like temperature, because of the winds being elevated at about 5 to 10, you should expect that if you're looking at the thermometer, the actual feels like temp is anywhere between 3 to 5 degrees colder than that. So with a low temperature of 26, we'll be probably looking closer to 21 or 22 heading into the morning hours. Now, a different story, of course, in the mountains where they're in the teens, which means lower teens, if not a few areas in the single digits. And I think that's especially a possibility for our higher elevation spots. Remember that where the elevation is lowest at the official sensors at Boone and Jefferson, if they're at 18, that means that their feels like temperature, let's say, is 13 for the sake of this conversation. That means the higher elevation you go, so Blowing Rock, Banner Elk, let's say you're at 11, 10, you get to places like Beach, Sugar Mountain, Ginger Cake, you're probably at 9 or 8, and then Grandfather Mountain, probably closer to maybe 3. For it feels like temperature. Now, again, tonight we are going to see those really, really chilly temps, and this is the first time we've been at or below the upper 20s in months. In fact, since the beginning of the year. So November 29th, 26th, the official low, or I guess the forecast low, expected to be official tomorrow morning, would make for the coldest air so far this season. Only colder than November 11th, which was Veterans Day, where we had that surprise snow in the afternoon. 26 is considered a hard freeze, and while we didn't see this earlier in the season other than the 29 on November 11th, most of the area has been under hard freeze conditions a few times so far. Of course, with the urban heat island effect, oftentimes Charlotte's not as cold. Now, I mentioned this when it came to the feels like temperatures. This is probably closer to what we're looking like for early tomorrow morning. So again, just bundle up. Make sure you're staying safe as you're getting out the door. Saturday will hopefully be a big day for some small businesses if you are choosing to spend some moolah. And so just make sure that you, of course, are keeping a close eye on that forecast, especially if you'll be out and about early. So what you see behind me is lots of sunshine, 26 the official low, highs reaching the upper 40s. And if you're looking at Saturday as a day overall, morning will be colder, but afternoon, I'm going to step off so you can see this better. It's essentially exactly where we were on Friday. Lots of sunshine, light winds, 48. That was actually the high temperature today. So if that was chilly for you and you still needed a heavy coat, you'll probably need one tomorrow. But let's say you I can't even think of the word I was looking for. Oh, shedded. Hopefully that's the word. Shedded the heavy coat for a lighter jacket, then that's fine too. Sunday, a much, much different story. Sunday's probably the first day in so far this season that I've pulled out my gloves because it's going to be chilly, raw, just kind of gross with temperatures only in the 40s and 50s as we bring in clouds and rain. This is your classic cold air damming setup where we get wedged in under cold air with a lot of cloud cover. Now, Saturday, we won't see a lot of these clouds during the day, but we will start to build in by Saturday night. There's two distinct chances where we could see light rain here in Charlotte. The first one starts right around 3 a.m. Now, you'll see areas of a wintry mix up in the mountains because, of course, they'll be much colder in the upper 20s and lower 30s. Here in Charlotte, closer to 38, 39. Now, the interesting thing is that this one happens while folks are asleep around 3 a.m. There is a chance that with our cold rain in Charlotte, we could get some ice mixed in, but that's going to be the exception, not the rule. But this can happen even when the temperatures are actually closer to 40 degrees. And it's just how the air mixes in as it gets closer to the ground, as the precipitation that is gets closer to the ground. So while most of us will be asleep, that's a possibility. By the afternoon, once we're seeing the secondary round move in closer to 1, clouds will be abundant, temperatures will still be in the 40s, so much lesser chance that we'll see any kind of mix here. And then this will set us up for a pretty rainy, again, chilly, kind of gross Panthers game, taking on the Rams at Bank of America Stadium. Both fingers and all my toes crossed so we get a big Panthers win, but it's definitely not going to be nice weather by any stretch of the imagination. Maybe it'll throw the Rams off because they're more used to California kind of weather. Ice accumulation will be a possibility with some of that wintry mix I showed you for Sunday morning, but thankfully it doesn't look to be a lot. However, we have a secondary storm system coming in Monday night and into Tuesday that could lead to even as much as a 1/4 inch of ice accumulating. Now, the reason why this is a big deal is one, it's all of our mountain communities, including up toward Wilkes County parts of the Triad, and includes Asheville, Black Mountain, Cane River, Roan Mountain areas. But anything that's more than a 1/4 inch of ice accumulation can start to impact power lines. So this will be something, again, only in the mountains we'll be watching really closely by Monday night and Tuesday. If you live here in Charlotte or closer to the Piedmont, anywhere within the Charlotte metro, we're not going to be getting any kind of freezing rain, but we will be looking at a pretty wet storm track with pretty much off and on cold rain all day on Tuesday. So if Sunday is the appetizer, Tuesday looks to be kind of the main course and dessert and probably a secondary course all put together. And that will allow for some travel impacts, again, starting Monday afternoon when that rain starts to push in, but primarily on Tuesday before it starts to clear out pretty quickly on Wednesday. So we're not officially issuing a weather impact alert or anything like that for Charlotte because it's really not going to impact us other than periods of rain. However, I really want folks in the mountains to be very, very aware of this and keeping a close eye on any changes, as they're the ones dealing with the periods of rain and the potential ice, which could cause issues on the roadways. So avoid travel if possible. Again, that's Monday night through most of the day on Tuesday before things do start to improve. And if you're looking at this forecast and you live in the mountains and you're bummed out that I didn't say anything about snow, it doesn't look like it's this time, right? This event does not look to be the one to bring us a nice little burst of snow, although some of the resorts are certainly taking advantage of the cold air and making their own. However, by the end of the 10-day forecast, there are some signs that some better snow potential for those mountain communities will be on the way. So don't be sad just yet. And if you're a fan of snow and you're planning on heading to the mountains, it could be that first weekend of December that looks a little bit more favorable for it. So again, all things hopefully to look forward to as long as folks are staying weather alert and weather aware and keeping a close eye on any changes. So I'm going to step off for a second once again so you guys can get a better look here at the 7-day forecast brought to you by Jerry Hunt Super Center. Tomorrow, very cold. Again, temperatures around 26, the coldest air so far of the season. Lots of sunshine in the afternoon. It will be a very chilly App State home game. Hopefully a big win for them as well. And then again, we talked about the notable times here where we could see some rain on Sunday for the Panthers game. First round with some light rain around 3 a.m. That's when we see that wintry mix for the mountains. And then a secondary round of light rain in the afternoon hours, closer to 1 p.m., which is the Panthers kickoff. We're very briefly dry on Monday, and then that's that mountain wintry mix possibility Monday night through Tuesday. I'm leaving 100% chance in the Charlotte area because this does look to be off and on for most of the day. Will it rain at your house every single second of the day for every single second that you're awake? Maybe not, but it is going to be a widespread rain event. Wednesday, Thursday, we look to be a little bit more comfortable getting back into the 50s with a bit more sunshine before another wet pattern possible by next weekend, the weekend after, which could be that snow I talked about up in the mountains. Enjoy your Friday, folks, and we'll see you next week.